Hey friends, today we're going to talk about the Back to the Beginning concert that took place yesterday. The all-star tribute and reunion of the original members of Black Sabbath took place in their hometown of Birmingham. If you're watching this in the future, that would have been July 5th, 2025. And months ago, it was announced, and it originally seemed like it was going to be an unprecedented tribute of the first and greatest heavy metal band of all time, and an amazing reunion of the four original members who haven't played together in 20 years. I originally was under the impression that they hadn't played together since 2000, but Wikipedia told me that the last time the four original members played together was at Ozzfest in 2005. The final weeks leading up to the concert, we saw a lot of drama, some fiasco with the tickets, and of course prices were outrageous. As more and more rumors filtered out, it was rumored that Ozzy was not in good enough health to perform and that he might not even show up at all. Sharon fired one of the bands, but won't say who it was until after the show, so we should be finding out about that any day now. But it was speculated that it was Tool because they were left off of one of the posters, and Maynard made some snarky comments online, I think, and that turned out to not be true. Then people seem to think that it's Megadeth that they're talking about, and there's some clues in the lineup as to why that might be the case. Apparently, she said that said band wanted to get paid, and this was all for charity, so she just kicked them off the bill. The surviving members of Soundgarden were supposed to be there: Kim Thale, Ben Shepherd, and Matt Cameron. Geddy and Alex Lifeson from Rush were supposed to be there, and they said they had something come up. Wolfgang Van Halen was supposed to be there, but his tour opening for Creed started the same night, and he couldn't, the logistics with travel wasn't able to be worked out. Judas Priest was originally supposed to be there, but they were playing Scorpion's 60th anniversary show that was taking place in Germany the same night. Scorpions, Judas Priest, and Alice Cooper. And they put out a cover of War Pigs as sort of a tribute and apology in honor of Black Sabbath. Jonathan Davis was originally supposed to appear, but only sent a video instead. And also the same night in Birmingham was the first of two farewell shows for ELO. So it was kind of a big night. There was a couple other things I read about that was going on in Birmingham the same night. So the tourism around there, that had to be a real boost for their economy. Anyway, let's get into this lineup. It's stacked. I'll recap the whole performance lineup. Tom Morello acted as musical director, and Jason Momoa was the host, which is just perfect. The first few bands played one or two originals and one Black Sabbath cover. You had Mastodon did Supernauts with guests Danny Carey, Eloy Casagrande from Slipknot, and Mario from Gojira. And Rival Sons did Electric Funeral. Anthrax did Indians original and Into the Void. Hailstorm did Perry Mason, which I thought was interesting choice. And the newest OZZY Black Sabbath song that was played in the whole day. It was a hit, but it wasn't, I wouldn't consider classic OZZY, so I thought that was a real interesting choice for Hailstorm. Lamb of God did Children of the Grave, which I listened to that version, and they're just fucking killing it. Then we had the first supergroup, which was made up of Nuno Bettencourt, Dave Ellefson, formerly of Megadeth, which is one of the reasons why I think Megadeth pulled out or was left out. Mike Borden on drums from Faith No More. Adam Wakeman on keyboards, who's a longtime OZZY keyboard player. Played with a bunch of people. And Jake E. Lee. Besides Zach, the only former OZZY guitarist that played. They did The Ultimate Sin, which is kind of a deep cut off of the album Ultimate Sin, with Lizzie Hale on vocals. Then they did Shot in the Dark with David Draymond from Disturbed. And then Scott Ian from Anthrax came out and they did Sweet Leaf with David Draymond. They did Believer with Whitfield Crane from Ugly Kid Joe, Scott Ian, Frank Bello from Anthrax, and Sleep Token 2, the drummer for Sleep Token. Then they did Changes with Youngblood. Youngblood is probably the youngest performer the whole day, and the only one that doesn't really fit in the metal, hard rock category. I thought maybe it was originally because he was from Birmingham, but he's actually from Doncaster, which is like 90 miles away from Birmingham. So it was cool seeing somebody represent the younger generation. That's not MGK or Jelly Roll or Post Malone. I like Post Malone, but I'm so glad Jelly Roll stayed way, way away from this thing. But that's a whole nother story. We won't get into that. Then we had the first tape that was played, and it was Jack Black doing Mr. Crowley, which led into the second phase of the evening, the mid-tier bands. And when you say mid-tier bands, the quality was amazing. You started off with Alice in Chains. They did Man in the Box, Wood, and Black Sabbath's Fairies Wear Boots. Then you had Gojira, who did a couple of originals, and then Under the Sun, which I think is kind of a deep cut from Volume 4, if I'm right. You can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. I didn't research that too much, but that's one of my least listened to Black Sabbath albums. I don't hate it, but it's one of my least listened to albums. Then you had your second super group kicking off with Drum Off to the riff of Symptom of Destruction, that's Megadeth. I got Megadeth on my brain. Symptom of the Universe, where you had Danny Carey and Travis Barker and Chad Smith. And in my opinion, Chad Smith stole it and played with aggression and skill. Of course, Danny Carey's always great, but it was kind of just sounded like rudiments to me. You Tool super fans don't hate me for that. But Chad Smith killed it. Then you had Breaking the Law with KK Downing, Billy Corgan, Danny Carey, Adam Jones, Tom Morello, and Rudy Sarzo. They did Breaking the Law and Snowblind by Black Sabbath. Then Sammy Hagar comes out and they did Flying High Again, which is kind of a perfect OZZY song for Sammy Hagar to sing. I never would have thought of that until I heard it, but And then, of course, Rock Candy, this old standard that Sammy Hagar did in his old band Montrose. Then we had Papa V, Tobias Forge came out, Nuno, Rudy Sarzone, Travis Barker, Vernon Reed from Living Color was a late addition to this show. And they did Bark at the Moon. Then you had Ronnie Wood from the Stones and Steven Tyler from Aerosmith come out, and they did Train Kept a Rollin'. And also on the stage was Andrew Watt, longtime producer of OZZY and a bunch of other people. Then they switched out drummers from Travis Barker to Chad Smith, and they did Walk This Way and Whole Lotta Love. Next up was Pantera. And of course, Pantera includes Zakk Wylde now and Charlie from Anthrax. So, of course, they would play because all those guys were already going to be there. They did Cowboys from Hell, Walk, Planet Caravan, which they had covered on Far Beyond Driven, and Electric Funeral, which is notable for two reasons. It's the only of the opening bands that did more than one Black Sabbath song, and it's also the first repeat of a Black Sabbath song. They did Electric Funeral and what did I say? Was it Rival Sons that did Electric Funeral? Next up we got Tool. They did 46 and 2, Hand of Doom, and Anima, which I thought Hand of Doom was interesting choice for them. It's a little more straightforward song. I thought Tool might have tried to do something a little more progressive, but that was cool. Slayer did Wicked World off of the first Black Sabbath album. And I thought that was an interesting choice for them. I thought maybe they would have tried to do something in their wheelhouse a little faster and more aggressive, but Wicked World is just a killer song. And they also did War Ensemble, Raining Blood, South of Heaven, and Angel of Death, which ended the second phase of the show. And so we got another tape of Fred Durst singing Changes, which is another repeat, but he sent a tape in, so maybe he didn't know that they were going to do that live at the show. And man, Fred Durst, I could take or leave, but whatever. Kicked into the headliners of the evening. We have Guns N' Roses, who did Never Say Die, which is a killer Black Sabbath song. And it was awesome seeing Axl sing that song. And Junior's Eyes, which is a deep cut off of one of those, Technical Ecstasy, I think, one of those later albums. I thought that was an interesting choice. They also did Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, which was killer. And then Guns N' Roses originals, Welcome to the Jungle and Paradise City. Next up we had Metallica, who kicked off with Hole in the Sky, which is probably in, at least in my top 20 Black Sabbath songs. There's so many good ones, it's hard to get up into that top 10. But they also did Creeping Death, For Whom the Bell Tolls, and then Johnny Blade, which is another deep cut off of Technical Ecstasy or Never Say Die. One of those last two OZZY albums. I think it actually might have been a single, so it's not really a deep cut. But those last two albums were not near as popular as their earlier stuff, so I call it a deep cut. Then they finished out with Battery and Master of Puppets. Next up we had Ozzy himself, who came up through the trap door, and he was seated the whole time because obviously his Parkinson's, he can't walk very well. His band was Zach and Mike Inez, who was obviously there because of Alice in Chains. And it was cool. That was most of the, besides the Randy Rhoads era, that was the classic lineup. The only thing missing was the Randy Castillo. So I feel like this show was almost just as much of a tribute to the Randys, Randy Rhoads and Randy Castillo. Is the only thing missing from that lineup. But they kicked off with I Don't Know and Mr. Crowley, Suicide Solution, all from the Blizzard of Oz album. Then they did Mama, I'm Coming Home, which I would probably consider Ozzy's biggest song, like commercially. And then ending out with Crazy Train. Next up, we had Black Sabbath themselves. The guys came out, Ozzy was sitting there, and they did everything you would expect. They did War Pigs, NIB, Iron Man, and Paranoid. And all four of those songs are off of the Paranoid album. And honestly, I could go the rest of my life without hearing any of those songs again, as long as I live. But seeing the original guys play those songs for the last time was really, really cool. So I sat here most of the day on YouTube and watched the videos from this show trickle in, and watched them as they came in, and started writing out my little notes for this video. And in anticipation for this show for months, I went back and forth to really being excited about it, and then I'd hear something and I just didn't care anymore. But it was exciting. It was exciting. A lot of the performances were really, really good. And one interesting thing was, where did I put that in here? It was a trip to see Jakey Lee, because I know he's been on the outs with Ozzy and Sharon for quite a few years. He kind of got screwed over in his tenure with Ozzy. He wrote all those songs on Bark at the Moon and Ultimate Sin, and never got any money for it. They basically stole his money and threw him to the wolves when he first joined, and then kind of left him out to dry when it was all over. So it was cool seeing him there playing his songs. Another nostalgic trip that I got on watching all of this was seeing Guns N' Roses and Metallica back to back in the headlining slots. And because I was at the 92 stadium show with Guns N' Roses and Metallica. We were supposed to be in Kansas City. We were supposed to be the next show after the St. Louis riot, and obviously it got postponed, and me and my friend went the next year for the makeup show, and I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall backstage. I know they're probably all older and not as cantankerous as they used to be, but I know Metallica and Guns N' Roses had quite a few run-ins on that stadium show, and so it was cool seeing them back-to-back again on a bill. And then also Metallica opening for Ozzy, which took me back to the first concert I ever went to without my parents, the first concert I ever went to with my friends. It was the same friend I went to with that Metallica and Guns N' Roses show years later. But 1986, I saw Metallica open for OZZY on the Ultimate Sin tour. Metallica was on Master of Puppets, and it was 3 months before Cliff died. So I got to see Cliff Burton live on the Master of Puppets tour. So that was kind of nostalgic for me. Well, that's basically the recap. It's flooding my Facebook feed and my YouTube feed right now, all of the videos and stuff coming out about it. So it's also kind of good for me to have a timely video out for once. So I make a video about something that is pertinent with information and a subject that I care deeply about. So share this video if you can, like and subscribe and do all those things. And I know other people are going to start having review videos and recaps and all that stuff. But if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. I love you.